Hello everybody, thank you for clicking on this video. This is part 4 in my series about unpopular philodendrons, and today I would like to talk to you about the philodendron Medisa. Now let me first explain something about the name of this philodendron. So it's Philodendron Medisa, and Medisa stands for Mermans Dirk Sandra, which is the last and the first name of the Belgian grower that created this plant, plus the first name of his sister called Sandra. So Medisa, philodendron. And actually it is a special cultivar of a philodendron that you might know, which is the Philodendron painted lady. And by the way, as you might also know, the Philodendron painted lady is actually a hybrid itself. It's a cross between a Philodendron burgundy and a Philodendron emerald queen. So this basically means that it's a cultivar of a hybrid. So if you're ever lucky enough to be walking around in the Amazonian tropical rainforest, the chance that you might see this plant is actually non-existent. It doesn't exist in the wild. Now, what's typical for the painted lady in general? First of all, the beautiful reddish pinkish petioles that this plant has. And secondly, the beautiful variegation lemon green speckled on the leaves, which makes this a really beautiful philodendron. Now, what's typical of this special cultivar? In my opinion, there's two things. First of all, the petioles are more sturdy than the normal philodendron painted lady. And secondly, this one, the Medisa, is a very fast grower, faster, in my experience, than the philodendron painted lady. Now, what else can I tell you about this beautiful plant? First of all, light requirements. In my experience for this plant, medium light is okay, but obviously it prefers bright indirect light, and the more light you give it, the more variegation you will see on this plant. The watering requirements, and this is something actually that in my opinion is quite important. I always let this plant dry out completely to the bone before I water it again, and it just loves it. So make sure that the soil is really dry before you water this plant again. Humidity, like all philodendrons, this one loves high humidity, but in my experience, it doesn't really care if it grows in normal house conditions, so it's not essential for this plant to grow in high humidity. Last but not least, propagation. In my opinion, this is the easiest philodendron to propagate. I bought this plant more or less 1 year ago, and I have cut it so many times because it just keeps on growing. And by the way, you might see that there is actually a baby one growing behind the mother plant on top of it. What I do is I just cut a leaf below a node, which is where you see the aerial roots, and I just propagate it in water. And as I said, I've done this so many times, and I have a 100% success rate in propagating this plant. And to give you a couple of examples of its offspring, I have more, but I just wanted to show you these three. This is the first one. So I propagated it in water. It's actually two plants, you might be able to see. And I'm growing them in a pond now, and they obviously just love being in that substrate. The second cutting, this is also 2 cuttings actually, also propagated first in water, and then I put it in a aroid soil mix, which is basically cocoa coir, wood chops, charcoal, perlite, and some lava rock. And also these two, they just love being in that substrate. And then as an experiment, and that's the third one that you see right here, this one was also propagated in water first, but then I decided to put it in a glass container, and the substrate is actually at the bottom, it's pumice, and I just put a top layer of perlite on top of it, and this cutting also loves that substrate. So to cut a long story short, it doesn't really matter in what substrate that you grow this plant. It loves perlite, pumice, pond, regular soil mix. It just grows fantastically. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for clicking on it. Have a nice day, and if you like the video, please like it and subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.